Holy crap, guys. I think we have major breaking news here. There's a couple of things that are happening in the Middle East. And I told you, if you saw my video earlier where I talked about the article, the headline that was released that said that Donald Trump is considering recognizing a Palestinian state. I told you if anything changed or updated with that, I would come forward with that. And we do have new information. So apparently Donald Trump has apparently brokered some type of deal with Hamas where they have agreed to release the last American Israeli hostage, and that has now happened. There's also something happening here with Saudi Arabia where an editor-in-chief of Arab News has come forward as well to speak out against Israel and against Benjamin Netanyahu. This is big news. I don't want to get everybody's hopes up because I still don't know what Donald Trump is going to do, but Saudi Arabia, at least this representative here, who's an editor-in-chief from Arab News, is speaking out against Israel. Is it possible that Saudi Arabia is going to turn against Israel? Let's get started with the breaking news of the hostage release first. Let's go ahead and bring that clip in here.
Breaking news out of the Middle East. NBC News can now confirm the last living American hostage being held in Gaza has been released. Yvonne Alexander now in Red Cross custody after nearly 600 days in captivity and heading home. He's 21 years old. He was born and raised in New Jersey. He also holds Israeli citizenship and was serving in the Israeli army when he was taken by Hamas during the October 7th attacks. Hamas.
Let's pause here. So for people who may not have been aware, this is someone who apparently volunteered to go fight with the IDF. This also brings up another point, ladies and gentlemen, which is that we had said this from the very beginning, some of us in independent media, that the people that were captured, that Hamas captured, a lot of these people were IDF soldiers, right? So just keep that in mind. Let's continue.
Is believed to still hold the bodies of 4 Israeli Americans. Let's get right to NBC's Hala Garani, who is live for us in Tel Aviv with the latest. We have seen cheers erupt in New Jersey, Hala, and in Israel, where you are, we expect to see this handover occur any minute.
Right. We understand that the Red Cross and Red Crescent convoy carrying Yvonne Alexander Halle is now on its way out of the Gaza Strip. From there, Yvonne will be transported to Re'im Air Base via chopper, and he will be meeting up and reuniting with his loved ones, Yael Alexander, his mother, as well as his father and other family members in that air base. He will then be taken to Ichilov Hospital in Tel Aviv. 584 days. The deal that led to the release of Yvonne Alexander, interestingly, was struck as a result of direct negotiations between the Trump administration and Hamas.
We're going to pause it right there. So we'll get into what Benjamin Netanyahu has to say about all of this. Basically, to make a long story short, Donald Trump has bypassed Israel, reached out directly to Hamas, and made this deal to have Eden released. Now, the only thing about this for Hamas is I don't see them getting Palestinian hostages in exchange. So that doesn't seem to be a part of this agreement right now from what we're seeing. So they are releasing one of the Israeli hostages, but I do not see them receiving Palestinian hostages in exchange. And of course, like I said, this deal does not include Israel. It does not include Benjamin Netanyahu. And in order to get those Palestinian hostages released, you would have to have some type of an agreement here with Israel. So I don't know the type of game or strategy that Donald Trump is trying to play here, but there have been reports in the media that there is some type of tension between Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump. Now, I want to show you what Netanyahu, how he's feeling about this at this point in time. So take a look at this, folks. Trump repeatedly bypasses Netanyahu, stoking dismay among Israelis. Benjamin Netanyahu has long trumpeted his ties to Trump, but the president is sidelining him on urgent issues like the Iran nuclear talks and the conflict with the Houthi rebels. So this was reported at 2 a.m. today. And it goes on to say here, during the first major overseas trip this week, Trump is set to visit 3 countries in the Middle East, which I talked about in a previous video, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE, without stopping in Jerusalem. So this is Donald Trump's meeting with part of the Arab world. And I say part because notice that this meeting apparently does not include Jordan. It doesn't include Egypt, which is why some people have been skeptical that Gaza is even going to be a part of this discussion. I think that Saudi Arabia would have to be the one to bring that up, to entertain that. It continues to say it's not the first time that he has bypassed Israel or Netanyahu, from embarking on nuclear talks with Iran to attempting hostage talks with Hamas without Israel's knowledge. Trump has increasingly sidelined Netanyahu, stoking anxieties in a country long accustomed to being consulted by successive U.S. administrations. So obviously, this is not something that Benjamin Netanyahu likes. It says on Sunday, senior Hamas leader said the group would release Israeli American hostage Yvonne Alexander following direct talks with U.S. officials. That would also include Steve Witkoff. So once again, you see Donald Trump speaking directly to Hamas without going through Israel or getting Israel's approval. Again, I don't really know what the end game is going to be here on Trump's side, but obviously not something that Israel was looking forward to. It goes on to say now many Israelis are wondering whether the U.S. is the next U.S. ally to be left behind by a president they considered just months ago to be the most pro-Israel in history. It's disconcerting. This is coming from Michael Oren, a former Israeli ambassador to Washington. It's total panic, coming from Shalom Lipner, a former Netanyahu aide and a fellow at the Atlantic Council, describing the mood in Jerusalem. Israeli concerns about Trump's negotiations with Iran and other threats to Israel are not being taken into account, or if they are, they're dismissed. That comes from Dennis Ross, who's the former senior State Department official who served as the Middle East envoy under both Democratic and Republican presidents. Yeah, because both parties support this crazy, insane, genocidal state there. So I do want to also say, I have not seen that there is a written contract, a written agreement between Donald Trump and Hamas. I don't see that there's anything in writing, and that always gives me reason to pause. But I think when you see the statement here from the editor, who is Saudi, from Arab News, I think that may make you want to question some things. Donald Trump did go live. Shout out to Jonta Recorder for capturing this. I want you to hear what he said about the hostages.
Third, I'm very happy to announce that Yvonne Alexander, an American citizen who until recently most thought was no longer living, thought was dead, is going to be released in about 2 hours, actually. And he's going to be released before the eyes of Steve Witkoff, who has done a fantastic job. I know a lot of people that have a lot of talent. I know Steve, he had a lot of talent. But I know a lot of people with a lot of talent, but there's one that I thought had a special way about him, special personality, aside from being a good deal maker, had a special way about him, and it was Steve. Knew very little about the subject matter, who does, but he learned it in about 2 hours. And he's been fantastic. So I want to just thank Steve. But they're going to be releasing Yvonne in about 2 hours from now, or sometime today, let's say. And again, they thought he was dead just a short while ago. His parents are so happy. They're so happy. So it's, as you know, Yvonne's the only American citizen is captured and held hostage by Hamas since October 7th, 2023. And he's coming home to his parents, which is really great news. I mean, to me, it's big news. They thought he was dead. So that's that. So we'll be heading there, and we'll be seeing 3 primary countries. You know all about that: Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar. And now today I'm heading over. We'll see what we're going to do with respect to Iran. I think you have very good things happening there too, by the way. I think can't have a nuclear weapon, but I think that they are talking intelligently. We're in the midst of talking to them, and they're right now acting very intelligent. We want Iran to be wealthy and wonderful and happy and great, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very
Yeah. So now he gets into the Iran part of the discussion. And you guys know my take on that. I feel if other countries are going to have a nuclear weapon, particularly in that area, then obviously Iran is going to want to have one too. Like, why would they want to leave themselves defenseless? So just something to think about there. But so throughout that conversation, he talks a lot about Eden and his family being happy that he is going to be coming home. He doesn't say anything in that conversation about the Palestinians in Gaza, right? It's almost like he's trying to either tiptoe around it or avoid that. And that's something that I've been trying to sound the alarm about, like notice who he's focusing on and who he's not focusing on. Now, it was this clip in particular that really made me think, and I almost stopped watching it before I saw the editor come on. This clip here from the BBC, they were also talking about Eden's release. And then all of a sudden, this editor is interviewed by a BBC reporter. And I want you to hear what he has to say about Saudi Arabia. Check this out.
Who are hoping that President Trump can make the difference when it comes to ending the Gaza war. And of course, this kind of headline is exactly what President Trump wants, as he's now in the skies heading to the Saudi kingdom for the first stop on his first foreign tour. And joining me here in Riyadh is Faisal Abbas. He's the editor-in-chief of Arab News, the leading Saudi daily. Faisal Abbas, welcome to BBC News. We're hearing, of course, this news, another hostage, the American-Israeli Yvonne Alexander, just released, but Prime Minister Netanyahu is making it clear, no Palestinian prisoners released in exchange, no moves yet towards a ceasefire. Is that how the Saudi leadership will see it when President Trump arrives?
Well, pause here for a second. So I just want to reiterate here, ladies and gentlemen, this is someone from Saudi Arabia. He writes for Saudi Arabia. I'm glad that she is asking him about the leadership. Again, we would have to wait to hear directly from their mouth about how they feel about the situation. Just want to alarm you that. But what he says next is very telling. Number one, I don't remember Saudi Arabia being vocal about this issue, about the genocide in Gaza. I just don't remember that happening. If I'm wrong, let me know. I feel like they've been kind of quiet. They have also always been known to back Israel as long as I can remember, along with their alliance with the West. So the US, Israel, and Saudi Arabia have always kind of been this thing as long as I can remember. So if what he says next is true, Israel's in trouble. Listen for yourself.
Netanyahu can say whatever he wants, but the reality is insanity is trying to do the same thing and expecting a different result. The leadership of Benjamin Netanyahu has not made Israel safer. It has actually made it much worse. We have not seen an end to hostilities. The situation has deteriorated. As for the...
Let's go back. I'm sorry. That is so important for people to hear one more time. Again, on camera. Listen to this.
Hostage, the American-Israeli Yvonne Alexander, just released, but Prime Minister Netanyahu is making it clear, no Palestinian prisoners released in exchange, no moves yet towards a ceasefire. Is that how the Saudi leadership will see it when President Trump arrives?
Well, Netanyahu can say whatever he wants, but the reality is insanity is trying to do the same thing and expecting a different result.
That part right there. That is a slap in the face to Benjamin Netanyahu. He's basically telling him, you can say whatever you want, you can think whatever you want, but we are tired of this. The Arab world is tired of this. This is really big to hear this from someone from Saudi Arabia. We have heard, criticism, mild criticism somewhat from Egypt and Jordan, etc. But this right here, I told you before, it was going to take Saudi Arabia to say something because the U.S. needs Saudi Arabia because of oil and other resources and vice versa. So the Queen of Jordan speaking out is one thing. Egypt speaking out is one thing. Iran, of course, we expect Iran to speak out is another thing. But if this is true, if the leadership of Saudi Arabia feels this way, Israel is in big trouble. Big trouble. So he said, this is insanity what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. It is insanity. We may have to drop the beat for him after this.
The leadership of Benjamin Netanyahu has not made Israel safer. It has actually made it much worse. We have not seen an end to hostilities. The situation has deteriorated. As for the Saudi position, it has been crystal clear that the only way forward is a two-state solution. This is not just a condition for Saudi peace talks with Israel on behalf of Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Arab and Muslim World League, but it's actually the best guarantor for Israel's safety. So
pause here for a second, and I just want to add, I, for one, my preference would be a one-stage solution where everybody has equal rights under that state. Of course, that would mean that Israel would have to be a secular state. It couldn't be like a Jewish state or religious state. It would have to be a secular state where everyone had equal rights under that. That would be my preference. But I've been hearing about a two-state solution for years. And so what I would hope is that this isn't just another talk about it thing. Bill Clinton talked about a two-state solution. Barack Obama talked about it. I've heard this like my whole life. So I felt like the time for that was years ago. I feel like it's too late to have a two-state solution. So, but if it happens, that would mean that Gaza would be allowed to have a military, which is definitely not what Israel wants. It's not just Benjamin Netanyahu, it's Israel. So people have to understand that. But this is coming from Saudi Arabia.
it's in everybody's interest. The problem is you are dealing with a government that does not want to listen to reason. So again, he can say whatever he wants, but the reality is we hope that during the visit, President Trump could listen to different points of views and see it the way the Arab world or the Muslim world sees it, which actually serves American interests and Israeli interests, but perhaps not the interests of Benjamin Netanyahu.
Pause right there. We got to drop the beat for him. Again, he's telling you Netanyahu can say whatever he wants. He said Netanyahu's government, and of course, like I would add Zionism and Israel, has not made people of Israel safer. It's made it worse. It's made it worse for people. Kudos to this guy. Kudos to this guy. We got to drop the beat, guys. We got to drop it. I'm going to drop it a little low. I'm going to drop it a little low, but we got to drop it. Woo! 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 All right. I have to drop it low because I'm not the only one home right now. So I have to be a little bit quiet. But I definitely wanted to drop that, ladies and gentlemen. I think Israel, hopefully, Saudi Arabia's leadership will say no to Israel and push back. I hope he's correct. I sincerely do. I don't want to get people's hopes up, but I hope he's correct. It's going to take someone like Saudi Arabia to say hell to the no.
Himself, who wants to stay in power at whatever cost.
Do you think this is going to be one of the main focus in these talks here in the kingdom? Because there's also this Saudi investment forum. We understand some leading business people from the United States are on that plane with President Trump. What would you say is the main priority for the Saudi kingdom?
Well,
and unfortunately, it does drop off there. But ladies and gentlemen, it appears that if he is correct, it appears that Saudi leadership may be turning on Israel. And that's exactly what you need to happen. You need a big power like Saudi Arabia, someone else who's an ally with the United States that the United States needs. You need them to say no to Israel. We're going to keep an eye on this, folks. We're going to keep an eye on it and this trip to the Middle East. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.